In this video, I will show you how to share your data flow from one person to another. Now, data flow, I have covered all this in my previous video. Now, if you haven't seen, please have a look into the data flow video. Now, data flow is basically a process which we are going to use to transfer the data from one environment to another environment. Now, example would be, say, if you have a set of reference data, like say some master records, which you are going to use in your application in a Dataverse environment. If you want to transfer the data from dev environment to the UAT environment, or maybe from dev environment to some other environment, you can use the data flow. Now, in data flow, you have multiple options. You can use multiple connections to transfer the data from Dataverse from one environment to another. I'm going to make use of the OData connections. Now, I have already covered this in my previous video. Just to give you an information on what a data flow is, a data flow is basically a collection of tables that are created and managed in an environment in a Power App service. You can add and edit tables in your data flow, as well as manage data refresh schedules directly from the environment in which your data flow was created. Basically, steps to create data flow is: first you author the data flow, you schedule the data flow run, and use the data you loaded in the destination environment. Now, the person who creates the data flow is the person who becomes the owner of that data flow. Now, there is only one owner of any data flow, so the person who created it, only the owner can edit the data flow. Now, authorization and the access to the data created by the data flow depends on the destination you load the data into. So, let me show you one example. So, this is a dev environment. Now, if I want to transfer the table from dev environment to the UAT environment, so this is a UAT environment. I have taken an example of a contact table. So, if I go into the tables and if I click on contact, now I have transferred some rows from dev environment to the UAT environment, and that's why you can see all the items over here. So there's more than 300 items I have transferred. Now, if I go into the tables in the dev environment, go to contact, and these are the list of contact item which I have transferred from dev to UAT. Now, how did I do that? I have created something called as a data flow. So here on the left hand side, if you do not see data flow, just go to more and then click on data flows. Now here I have few set of data flow which I've already created. Contact transfer, copy of contact transfer. Now in contact transfer, if I go and see the details, so I have an option to edit, rename, refresh heading, and if I go to show refresh history, I can see there are a couple of items which have failed, couple of items which have succeeded. Now, anything which is succeeded, I'm good. Anything which has failed, I need to troubleshoot it. I'm an administrator of this environment and I want to check that, but I'm currently loaded with a lot of work. I have created this data flow, I did the transfer, but now I don't have time to troubleshoot this. But I'm the owner, no one else can see what's happened over here, right? I have an option to first find out what's happening over here. I can go ahead, expand all the tables. I can see, oh, this is the error, but I don't have time to troubleshoot it. I want to share it with my colleague who is also an administrator. I can see the failed runs over here, and I can even download the refresh file. So if I go ahead and download the refresh history file, I can see the CSV file. So let me open the CSV file over here and show it to you. What does the CSV file looks like? Now, CSV file looks something like this. For a specific contact, the SQL error operation attempted to insert a duplicate error, a duplicate value for an attribute with a unique constraint. Now, if this is an issue, what I'm going to do, I'm going to take this Excel file, give it to my colleague for troubleshooting. But my colleague may not have specific information, even if we want to troubleshoot, right? So for that, what I need to do is I need to share this data flow with my colleague. Now, here, once you create a data flow, you cannot technically share a data flow with your colleague. Now, take for example, your colleague is Alex. Now, I'm logged in as Alex. So, this is Alex Wilbur. So as you see, this is Alex Wilbur. And let me go into, oh, I think let me go into a different environment over here. So let me first check whether Alex can see a specific data flow or not. Okay. So say Alex can see Girish prod environment. So let me go ahead and go to Girish prod environment. And here, even in the prod environment, I have created some sort of a data flow. Now here, I have created test zero one, test zero two, and I want my colleague to have a look into what's with test zero one or maybe test zero two, and then manage that entire process of data flow. So for that, now as you see, Alex is logged into the prod environment and Alex cannot see the data flow. Now here I have an option. What I can do, I can go ahead and edit, rename, refresh, edit, refresh setting, delete, or I can create a copy. Now I can create a copy, but what I'm going to do with that, first I need to share this data flow. Now you cannot technically share a data flow. What you need to do is you need to go into all data flows and search flow data flow by owner name. Now you need not do all this operation. What you need to do, you need to ask Alex, go into your data flow and then search for the data flow in the prod environment. So Alex will go to all data flow and he will just type in Girish name, search for data flow by owner name. Now Alex will find that, oh, I have Girish has done a lot of data flow, test zero one, test zero two, which is exactly the same thing which I wanted for troubleshooting purpose. So Alex will go into the environment, go to all data flow, search for data flow by owner name, and then from here Alex can type in and say change owner. So Alex will say change owner and the new owner. Now Alex can grant this to someone else as well. So Alex can give it to say Lee as well. But Alex will say, no, I want to troubleshoot this. So let me pick up the owner. And now, as you see, I cannot type in multiple values. So let me pick up Alex's name. And it says once you change the owner of the data flow, it will stop working until the new owner provides the credentials for all the data source used by this flow. Are you sure you want to change the owner? Now, as we all know that Girish does not have time to troubleshoot an activity, he has created the data flow. Now, Alex will take control of the data flow, establish that connection with the data source, troubleshoot it, and then from that point onwards, Alex becomes a new owner. And Alex can provide that ownership to other user as well. But at a time, there can be only one owner. So let me click on change owner. Now, why Alex is seeing all data flow is because Alex is a system administrator. Now, if you are a system administrator, you can see all the data flow created by your colleagues who has a system administrator permission. Now, Alex is in control of test zero two. Now, what Alex needs to do, go into my data flows and then let me see over here. So let me go. So let me go into the data flows over here and let me go to Girish's environment. Now, as we have taken control of test zero one, and that's why Alex can see test zero one and he can perform an operation of test zero one. Now, if Alex wants to take control of test zero two from Girish as well, he can search for Girish's name. And then from here, you have an option to select test zero two. Search for data flow by owner name test zero two. I will say change owner and I will take that control. The moment I click on change owner, this will disappear from Girish's interface. So let me click on change owner. And now Alex is the owner of test zero two as well. And Alex should see the test zero two in my data flow and this should disappear from Girish's interface. So click on my data flow and Girish has control over test zero one and zero two data flow which was created. And what Girish or Alex needs to know, because Alex is the new owner, Alex needs to edit it and then establish that connection with the data flow which Girish has created. Now here, let me go into the data flows over here. Now, Girish initially had two data flows, and Alex has now taken the complete ownership. And now Girish cannot see any data flow because for a data flow, there can be only one owner. Now, if Girish wants to see what other people has, he can go to all data flows and then type in person's name. Now, in this case, it is Alex, and then I should be able to see the two data flow which has been reclaimed the ownership by Alex. And then I have an option to change the owner here as well. So that's it, folks. This is how you basically can transfer the ownership from one administrator to another for a specific data flow in a Power Apps environment. Thanks for watching.